Some days I'm full of motivation. Other days I can barely do anything. But I've learned not to fight it. In this video, I'll show you what helps me stay motivated while living in Japan and why it's okay to have days off too. Maybe you'll see a bit of yourself in my story. Recently, I was nominated to be a public safety officer for the Wakayama Police Board. It was such an unexpected honour, and I was genuinely excited about the opportunity to contribute to the community that I now call home. But when I learned I'd have to give a speech in Japanese at the formal meeting, I'll be honest, I was so nervous. 12 people have been nominated from our community, and I am the only foreigner for our area. On the day of our induction, we arrived at the Wakayama police station. We were quickly chauffeured into a bus, and of course none of this could be filmed. We were taken to a detention center and shown what it would look like inside if you were held in detention. We also had to turn off our phones and leave all our cameras and devices outside. We were shown how everything works behind the scenes, and we also were given an insight into exactly what sort of crimes are happening in the local area and what measures and actions are being taken. I was really nervous when the Chief of Police started his speech because I knew it wouldn't be long before I'd be called up on stage and had to give my introduction and my own input. Thankfully, all went well, and I was inducted in as a public safety officer for Wakayama, and I'm really excited to be able to do this voluntary position. As you can imagine, the last few weeks my motivation for studying Japanese has been very high. Millie and I are often going on walks. That's another thing I'm trying to keep my motivation going, is for exercise. At the moment it's rice planting season, so they've opened up the water which comes down from the mountains and floods the rice fields. Some fields have been planted and some haven't. Typically here in Wakayama, the rice is planted in early June and is harvested in early September. It's amazing that in 3 months you can get a crop of rice. The ever-changing landscape around me is one of the reasons I get up and go for a walk, because there's always something to look at, whether it be the different plants or flowers that are in bloom, or like now we've got the rice planting. These fields were only just dirt a few weeks ago, so it's really fun to see that they've now planted the rice. I am definitely trying to stay motivated when it comes to diet and exercise, and going for regular walks or even a bike ride is something I'm doing for myself. I also want to change up my diet, and I think I'm eating too much. I'm trying to follow the Okinawa rule of only eating until you're 80% full. But I really want to get an air fryer or some way to bake items without using oil. So I've come into my favorite electronics store, Yamada Denki. They really looked after me. If you saw my fridge video, I am a loyal customer of theirs now. It turns out there's a whole world of ovens here in Japan that I had no idea existed. And after a long chat to the salesperson, it turns out that the ovens not only bake, air fry, microwave, but they also have a steaming function. So the sales assistant was explaining to me, if you want to eat healthy, these are some great options. I'm particularly interested in this idea of a steaming function. So I have bought myself an oven now, and I'm super excited about it. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit to shopping, and I'm going to cook something with these zucchinis that I picked up at the local market. So Natsumi and I also went studying again on the weekend. And this local market has a lot of Wakayama fresh produce. So those zucchinis were only 100 yen, and it's actually quite difficult to get locally grown zucchinis here in Japan. But we were also able to pick up a bit of lettuce and a few other fresh fruit and veggies. So I am being very conscious about my diet, and I am motivated to get a little bit healthier. I think I've put on a couple of extra kilos over the winter months, so I'm doing everything I can to watch what I buy, because that will then alter what I put in my mouth. So I'm being very conscious of getting fresh fruit and veggies, and also the amount of food that I'm buying. And I'm always very conscious of my budget, so I certainly don't like to spend high amounts of money on items. This oven was middle of the range, so it wasn't their top one and it wasn't their bottom one. It was the middle of the range, but still had all of the functions that I need. Of course, Millie wants to inspect the new kitchen appliance. Whenever I start cooking, she generally sits on the kitchen windowsill. It's how she can supervise and make sure I'm doing everything right. Working on my diet, I'm also trying to get a lot of protein into my diet. So today I'm making a zucchini slice. I know it's not Japanese. I'm going to put a little Japanese twist on at the end, but I'm trying to get a lot of protein into every meal, and I'm going to do that this meal with 2 eggs. Add a bit of parmesan, just a dash of cream. How do you make your zucchini slice? I think I'm just making this one up as I go along. I've got no particular recipe that I'm following, and I know that if you've got the zucchini and the onion and you throw it in with some eggs, it's always going to work out. I'm not being super strict with my diet. I'm just making small steps to feel better, and I really wanted to cook some healthier meals. It's pretty funny how motivation works. I mean, sometimes it's not about a huge change, it's just making little changes here and there. And sometimes buying a new oven is enough to spark a whole new routine. And it's certainly sparking a whole new set of food that I can now cook. Before, I just had like an oven toaster, which was mostly used for making toast, and it wasn't really suitable to be able to bake anything, or it didn't have any sort of ability to do steaming or air frying. So I'm really excited to be able to do some cooking with ovens now, and I'm looking at different options. If you have any healthy recipe ideas for either an air fryer, steamer or an oven, please let me know. I'd love to hear about some healthy cooking options. Now, the only Japanese twist that I'm adding to my zucchini bake is going to be my Japanese mayo and Japanese chili sauce. And the mayo I buy is the one that is fat-free or, calorie-free. So it's got the pink lid on it. That's different to the red lid. It's just less in calories. And I'm putting on a lot less than what I would normally put on. And just some really spicy chili sauce to add a bit of extra flavor into it. At the moment, Natsumi and I both have really high motivation to keep our studies going. So we're both studying different things, but we're both feeling quite motivated at the moment. So today, instead of going to the workspace, the co-work space I found in that other video, we're headed off to the Wakayama Library. This is the Wakayama City Library. And it just so happens that out the front of the library, they have a flea market on today. So the place is just buzzing, and we had a lot of fun walking around the market. We are allocated 2 hours for us to study, so we did spend about 15 to 20 minutes walking around the market and checking out all of the items that were here. We certainly didn't plan this as part of our study day, but just wandering, exploring, and we're not putting pressure on ourselves for our time. We're not being exact with we've got 2 hours. It just reminds me that, learning doesn't always have to look like flashcards or textbooks. Sometimes it's just taking a moment for yourself, interacting with other people, enjoying the atmosphere, and getting yourself into the right frame of mind. I used to push myself when I didn't feel motivated, but now I see those moments as messages, not failures. Maybe I'm tired, maybe I need a change, or maybe I need to let go of something I think I should be doing. So it really helps me to say to myself, well, I'm not motivated right now, so I'm not going to do it. And when I am motivated, that's when I am going to do it. And usually my motivation comes from wanting something. And in this case, I really want to be able to speak as fluently as possible in formal language at these meetings that I'm going to attend as a volunteer. So my motivation is high. I guess it comes out of a little bit of fear for public speaking in Japanese in a formal setting, and I don't want to embarrass myself. So it's really pushing my motivation high. And as I walk into this study room in the library, I look at all of these young students and people studying away in their little cubicles. What makes them tick, I wonder? What makes their motivation high? I wonder if it's the fear of failing a test as well that's keeping them going. But for me, my motivation at the moment is to speak clearly in formal language and to be able to be heard in a meeting and understood, and also not embarrass myself. So that is basically where my motivation is coming from to study Japanese. And I think understanding your why you want to do something is going to make a huge difference to your own feelings. Do you want to do it or don't you want to do it? It's as simple as that. When I don't want to do something, I don't do it. So that's when I'm unmotivated. And there's a reason why I don't want to do it. I have no real benefit coming to me from doing it. One of the things I don't do is I don't do the dishes, and I don't fold my washing and put it away. Quite often I'll have dishes sitting in the sink because I just don't feel like doing the dishes right now. And I'll pull the washing in from outside and I'll throw it on the bed, and I don't feel like putting it away, so I don't put it away. And I guess just when I feel motivated, then I will do it. But I'm not going to push myself to do things that I don't want to do. So for me, finding motivation is asking myself, do I want to do it or not? And until then, I just be kind to myself. And I think that could be the most motivating thing you can do. If you're always pushing yourself to do things, you're going to become less and less motivated to do lots of things. Living in Japan has taught me that motivation isn't something you chase. It's something that finds you when you start listening to what you need. You don't have to force it. Just let the quiet days guide you. Trust that your motivation will come back when the time is right, especially if it's something your heart truly, truly wants. And that is a very good time to say thank you so much for everyone being here, being part of the journey. The other day I hit 100,000 subscribers and my heart truly wanted it. I visualized it and it made me so, so happy. Thank you again for being part of this community. And if you're not subscribed, I'd love it if you also subscribed. So would Millie. We are so happy, and this night that it was time to celebrate and do the live Q&A, I was actually terrified about doing a live. I've only done one other live before. So an hour before the live, I actually went out for a twilight walk just to clear my head and calm my nerves. And I decided that I was going to have an after party after the live Q&A. And I decided to go and get some supplies for my after party, clear my head and boost up my motivation and clear my nerves. So I went for a fairly long walk to the local convenience store and got a few supplies, head home, and I was going to use this as my motivation to get through the Q&A. Looking back at this footage, it's pretty funny now because I didn't actually end up buying any of the snacks or anything here because I had some healthy food at home, and I also had some cow piss at home, which is like a yogurty sour drink that you mix with soda water. So that's what I ended up celebrating with. But everything went fine with the live. I didn't need to be nervous at all. I was so happy. You can watch the replay. It's a little bit long, but it's there for you if you want to watch it. The big announcement I made on my live broadcast was that I've opened up channel memberships. I've got 3 different tiers of memberships. Some of them receive postcards, some letters, and also a gaming pin for those of you who want to join the top tier. We're going to have live game nights where we're going to learn hiragana, katakana, and Japanese words together. So Really happy for you to be part of the community and join. And even if you're not ready to join yet, that's absolutely fine. I'm just so happy you're here and watching this video all the way to the end. So from Millie and I, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for being here and being part of the community. Now I just need to find a little bit of motivation to clean up after the after party. Millie's having a lot of fun, so I might leave it up for a little bit. Thanks so much for watching. See you next week. Bye.